It is my pleasure this morning to introduce Reverend Keith Cox. He is the Youth Events Manager of the Centers for Spiritual Living. He has been working with the youth since 2000, and he's still sane. Anyway, we hope he's still... His passion is facilitating individuals finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Additionally, his ministry includes the Malawi School Project, which is a school-building project in Malawi on the continent of Africa. In the past 5 years, 18 schools have been built in the Kasungu. I'll let you do that. District of Malawi. He heads back there in June with 15 travelers from various high schools in the Los Angeles area to work on building 2 new schools. His personal pleasures are traveling, hanging out with dear friends and extended family, cooking wonderful food, and loving with his 4-legged spiritual offspring, Sadie. My dog's name's Sadie, too. We should get them together. There you go. My beautiful and phenomenal friend, Keith Cox. Reverend Keith Cox.
Thanks, honey. Thank you. Good. Okay there. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing in Simi Valley and beyond? Good, I know. So it's Kasungu, right, Kenny? Kasungu. So that's the village in Malawi where we build schools, and it's such an amazing experience that's unfolding, and truly a divine happening, really. We are headed back there, and it's such a divine happening, I know, to such a degree, because we thought there were going to be 15 other travelers that I'm taking back with me, and there's such a great demand. We have 26 signed up. And yeah, rock and roll. And it goes against every single rule and guideline that our partner Build On has to take more than 12. But they're getting accustomed to me because I really don't understand the language they speak when they say no. To me, that just means, okay, let's expand. Rules, beliefs, guidelines, policies, whatever. Really happy to be here with you this morning. I spoke at a center recently whose theme for the month was praise and raise. Think about that for a second. Praise and raise. And I love that concept, and I decided to use that as a mantra for my life for the last month. To praise and raise. And the reason I love that concept so much is because it really ties into the philosophies and the tenets of our teaching of the science of mind. And the tenets, I believe, that it ties into are really twofold. And one is that it is that which we speak and focus on, which we then get to experience in our everyday lives, right? You guys know that? So it's that which we speak and focus on that we get to experience in our everyday lives. And 2, that for you and I to raise our vibrational frequency in life, i.e. our conscious evolution, we must consciously participate in it. We must consciously participate in it. And unlike traditional philosophies or religions, we don't sit back passively, sometimes on our knees and just ohm, and wait for some power in the sky to either give us or take away our good, right? That's not the way it works in the conscious evolutionary practice of metaphysics. The way that it works is that we get to experience as much good, which is a synonym for God, as we're willing to express. Now think about that for a second. We get to experience as much good or as much God as we're willing to express. In other words, for you and I to have a more divine experience in life, we have to choose to express the divine. Well, how do we do that? We do that by first and foremost knowing that we are that divine. It's not some entity outside of us. It is this all-encompassing, universal, omniscient power that exists equally outside as it does within. And that it doesn't have the capacity, because it's not within its nature, to not only say yes or no. I know it's a great thing in our teaching to say the universe says yes. It doesn't, by the way. Because if it said yes, it could say no. It doesn't do either. What it does is just simply respond to itself us and give to us, through us, that which we are. So the more and more and more and more that we choose to know that we are it and act accordingly, then we get to experience more and more and more of it. So our role is to praise and raise that which it is by means of how we speak, how we think, how we act, how we interact, and how we react. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love music. How many of you guys love music? Yeah, me too. So as I've been really engaging this concept of praise and raise, the song that keeps coming up for me it's an Ike and Tina Turner classic called Gonna Take Me Higher, right? You guys know it? You guys know it? Yeah, gonna take me higher. Right? So the words to this song is, I want to take you higher. The beat is getting stronger. The beat is getting longer. Too-hoo! Music sounded good to me, but I want to take you higher. Right? And then it goes to, and a boom chaka-laka-laka, boom chaka-laka-laka, boom chaka-laka, boom, boom. Right? So how many of you in your spiritual practice believe that you can really go boom chaka-laka-laka, boom chaka-laka, boom chaka-laka, boom, boom? Dorianne can do it. There's one of you that can do it. We got to take you out dancing with Dorianne and Kenny and I. We'll teach you how to do that. If you don't believe that it's through the boom shaka-laka-laka, boom shaka-laka-laka, boom shaka-laka, boom, boom, that you can shift your vibrational consciousness, then you really don't understand the tenets of this teaching. You really don't. You get to choose first and foremost how you want to express God so that you get to experience more of it. The great spiritual teacher, Gary Zukav, writes, choice is the engine of our evolution. If you choose unconsciously, you evolve unconsciously. If you choose consciously, however, you will evolve consciously. And choosing to evolve consciously is much better than unconsciously, and most often far less painful. Right? He says, trust me, been there, done that. What we all need to understand, as he goes on to write, is the power of choice is the greatest gift you have, second only to the gift of life itself. Now think about that. What he's telling us is choice, that which we have in our minds, the ability to choose, knowing that we're God, knowing that God is all there is, knowing that life is here for us, that we need to shake up our vibrational field consistently and constantly by boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom, boom, right? By engaging that and then knowing that that very, 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 very dear gift that exists within us of choice is the greatest gift that we've been given, second only to life itself. And what he's saying, if we didn't have life itself, we wouldn't even know that our ability to choose exists. So I ask you right now, what in life is it that you're choosing? What in your life are you doing consistently and daily and repetitiously to align yourself with the qualities of the divine that exist within you, and that you and I have to do nothing for that to be within us? Those qualities, as we know, are peace, power, beauty, light, life, love, and joy. I ask you today, are you aware that it's your inherent nature to live a life of peace, power, beauty, light, life, love, and joy? And at NoHo, we used to add wisdom to that. Do you know that that is within the realm of who and what you are already? And by choosing to not only know that, but to be that as you bring yourself into the world on a daily basis, that you can shift your vibrational frequency and evolve into a greater experience of who you are by choosing to express who you are already innately. But how many of us get immobilized to know that? Many of us on a daily basis, no matter where we are in the vibrational frequency of the evolution of our life. Why? Because we get scared, right? Because it contradicts oftentimes what we're taught right? And we're afraid that if we engage something that we don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. I can tell you the first time that we went to Malawi, I had no idea what it was going to look like. And when I got on the phone with Bill Don, our partner, and negotiated the contract, he said to me, we'll be more than happy to partner with you. We'll be happy to take your money. We'll be happy to build these schools. But just so you know, we're not set up there for you to come. I said, I'm so happy that you feel happy to share that with me. But here's what I want you to know. If I don't get to go, no money. That's the way it works. And I remember so vividly when I had that conversation with him, I called my beloved brother, James Hartsburg, and said, meet me for lunch. And we met at the Coral True Cafe, and I sat down, and I was a little bit shaken up because I knew what I had committed to in my soul. And I said to him, promise me you'll go to Malawi with me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, I'm making this deal for the money we raised at camp, and we're going to Malawi to build these schools, and I'm going. And I don't care that he said no, and I have no idea what it's going to look like when I get there, but I know that that which is within me is peace, power, beauty, light, life, love, joy, and wisdom. And so therefore, I know that I am divinely guided and protected, so I'm saying yes to this opportunity without a doubt, knowing that the power of the divine is an unfailing power, therefore it must support me. Now, if that's true for me and James and every single one of us that's gone to Malawi, that's true for each and every one of us all the time. What we must understand is that the process of conscious evolution at times may have what's called as fear in it. It may have pain in it. How many of you have been through pain in your life to grow? If you haven't, you're not alive. And you're lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Speak the truth to yourself so that you can grow. The great Swiss psychotherapist and psychiatrist who founded analytical psychology, Carl Jung, wrote this in regards to this topic. He says, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. He says, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. By making the darkness conscious. I ask you today, where in your life is there darkness? Where in your life does darkness exist? And are you willing to face it and know that the light that needs to dispel that darkness by making it conscious exists within you? You get to choose. You get to choose if you're ready to strike that illumination and allow it to light up and dispel that darkness. But so often our teaching, what we're afraid of doing, all of us as we grow, is that we don't want there to be darkness in our lives because we think it's something that is other than God. All the time in our teaching, we hear God is all there is. All there is God. There's only one, right? And yet then when something shows up that we believe is possibly contradictory to that, we're like, oh, that's not God. That's not God. God's not that pain. God's not that darkness. And what we all need to understand is that God simply is. And anything in the realm of experience of life is an outpicturing of our divine understanding of the divine. So what Jung is telling us here is that we can shift any and all that exist in our lives if we choose to engage the second best gift there is, which is the gift of choice. Joseph Campbell writes, the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasures that you seek. How many of you know that that's true? 2 of you. We're getting better. We're making progress. 3, 4, 5, sold in the corner. There we go. Now think about that concept. Isn't that a wonderful quote? The cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Now let's break that down. Remember, what we're looking to do is to have a boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka boom boom experience, right? And for that to happen, when we go into the cave, we need to know that we're taking our light with us into the cave. My beloved teacher, Dr. David Walker, used to say, fear is just simply the divine telling us that we need to know more about what we're about to encounter. Great analogy, isn't it? Fear is just simply the divine saying, you need to know more about this. So how do we get to know more? Through what capacity? Through choosing to inquire, to assess, to ask, to trust oftentimes. That when we move into that cave, no matter what it might be a relationship, it might be a financial situation, it might be a health situation, it might be the future, it might be our conception and our relationship regarding the past. We have to know that within that cave is the treasure. And by learning at a greater level every single day, more than ever before, that it is all God and God is all there is, then we need to choose to praise the cave. We need to praise the darkness. We even need to praise the fear. Why? Because it's all reminding us that we are beings who have the power of choice. It's reminding us that we're alive. It's reminding us that we can transcend any and all conditions in life if we engage the evolutionary process of life, which we've learned from Gary Zukav we get to do through the act of choice. It all comes down to choice. And what we also need to learn, and when I use the word need, and I don't use that a lot, but what we need to do is expand our faith to know that the laws of life are always working for us. And I think there's one more piece to that that's always really, really, really important for us, and it was a pivotal time in my life. And that is to get to a place in our life where we know that the power of God is an unfailing power. How many of you in the room truly believe that at a cellular place in your being, that this infinite power that we're talking about that gives life to us, for its life itself, is indeed unfailing in its nature? Good. Dr. Holmes writes, there's a direct law responding to condemnation and to praise and appreciation. It is, of course, the same law used in different ways. He goes on to write, there is a law common to all which responds in every man's belief in life, and that's both male and female and everything in between. And he writes, at the level of that belief, no man can be happy who lives in a continuous state of condemnation of people, conditions, things, and the self. We must learn to praise and not condemn. We must learn, amen, hallelujah, boom shakalaka. We must learn, and I think we must move beyond learning it. We must consciously choose every day to praise and not condemn. Why is that? That's because in so doing, we raise our vibrational field of consciousness. How many of you today want to walk out of here with a higher vibrational field of consciousness than you've ever had before? Me too, sister and brothers. But what I want to do more than just walk out of here with a higher vibrational field of consciousness is let that higher vibrational field of consciousness then become the foundation from which I grow. Oftentimes I say in life that we butt up against the ceiling of our fears, our disbeliefs, of that which we think is impossible, until we transcend it through choosing to know who and what we are. And then we have an opportunity when we transcend it to let that ceiling become our floor from which we grow. But so often what happens for many of us is we have this moment of enlightenment, and we have this moment of knowing who we are and what's possible, and we've stepped into that as-if principle, and we transcend, and we have this glorified moment, and then we fall back down to where we were. That's because we're not owning our power of who we are. I want to tell you a story about knowing who you are. This guy was driving around the backwoods of Montana, and he sees the sign in front of a broken-down shanty-style house. And it says, talking dog for sale. He rings the bell, and the owner appears and tells him the dog is in the backyard. The guy goes into the backyard and sees a nice-looking Labrador retriever sitting there. He looks at that Labrador and he goes, hey, you talk? Yes, the Lab replies. After the guy recovers from the shock of hearing a dog talk, he says, hey, what's your story? The Lab looks up and says, well, I discovered that I could talk when I was pretty young. I really wanted to help the government, so I told the CIA. In no time at all, they had me jetting from country to country, sitting in rooms with spies and leaders because no one figured a dog could be eavesdropping. I was with one of the most valuable spies for 8 years running. But the jetting around really tired me out, and I knew I wasn't getting any younger, so I decided to settle down. Signed up for a job over at the local airport to do some undercover security, wandering near suspicious characters and just simply listening in. I uncovered some incredible dealings and was awarded a batch of medals. I got married, had a mess of puppies, and now I'm just retired. This guy stood there in awe and amazement. He goes back in and says to the owner, "That is some frickin' amazing dog. I can't believe you want to sell it. How much do you want for it?" The guy goes, $10. It was $10 for that dog? That dog is incredible. Why on earth are you selling him so cheap? The owner looks at him and says, "That dog's full of crap. He's never been out of the yard." Now what that's good, right? Don't you think? That's good. That's a boom shakalaka. So why did I tell you that story? Because what that dog was doing, and certainly I'm taking license with this dog here in this story, if you will, but what that dog was doing was engaging his ability to choose. He was choosing to create a story around himself and holding on to it, right? Now, what we know as contemplative beings and the way that the laws of the universe work is that if we do the same for ourselves by using the as-if principle, we can rise to a higher vibrational frequency in our life and get to experience that which we desire to experience in our lives by knowing who we are as divine beings. Yeah, who we are as divine beings. And there's no one and no thing that can change that. The Malawi School Project came into being because of an idea that I held. An idea that I held, and in the face of many, many, many different people saying to me, "That's not true. You can't do that. You can't do that." But yes, I did do it, right? What we need to understand is that the universe is not punishing us or blessing us. It's just simply responding to the vibrational attitude that we're emitting. Shaka laka 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 boom boom, right? It is. It is, ladies and gentlemen. And today is the day, if you choose to know for yourself, that you can rise to a higher vibrational field in consciousness. Begin your day by saying, "I want to take me higher. I want to take me higher." I've had such the blessed opportunity in my life to do some study, not one-on-one, but pretty close to that, with Dr. David Hawkins. You guys familiar with Dr. David Hawkins? Well, in the 60s, he developed this thing called the map of consciousness. And through the act of kinesiology, he was able to test people's vibrational field of consciousness. And what he learned in the 40-plus years of work that he did is that most people, when they move from the state of teenage to adulthood, is they settle into a state of mind and rarely move 20 degrees on the map. And this map starts at 0 and it goes to basically 800. And what he tells us is that, and I've sat with him before in a group where we've made large jumps in our field of consciousness. What he's telling us through the practice of what Dr. Hawkins created here was that we can make radical shifts in who we know ourselves to be and the way that we live our lives if we choose to know who we are and hold those beliefs as possible for ourselves until they show up in form. Dr. Hawkins, in the beginning of his field, where I think most of us probably resonate, is a field of like 175, which is pride. Pride's the level that we all aspire to by the majority of mankind today. It's where people feel good where they're at in their life. It's where they move away from shame, guilt, and fear by reveling in the contrast from the lower levels that they existed at some other time in their life. Pride is the basis of religious war, political terrorism, and zealotry. And then he moves up to 200, which is courage, which is the level of empowerment, which is where most of empowered conscious beings live today, is somewhere in the field of 200. It's the level of empowerment which brings forth accomplishment, exploration, fortitude, and determination. It's where life on a daily basis is seen to be exciting, challenging, and stimulating. It's where productivity actually begins. And then the next level is 250, which is neutrality. It's where people start awakening to their own ability to transcend polarization, believing that there's more than one power in the universe, and then their rigid positions about life. It's that place where immunization against experiences of defeat, fright, and frustration exist. It's where inner confidence blooms. It's where one is at a place in their life where there's no longer interest in conflict, competition, or guilt. It's a place of non-judgmentalism. And then you move up the scale, if you're willing to do the work, to a place called willingness. And that's the gateway of higher levels of excellence and where success opens. It's where growth is rapid. It's when you start taking quantum leaps in your understanding and application of this teaching, knowing more than anything that there's really only one power, and that based on a wonderful quote I love by Gil Atkinson is that where impossible is just an opinion. It's where you start moving into this place in life where you have a commitment to participate in open-minded activities and that you live from a place of contemplating your inner issues, addressing them, and moving forward. And then he goes on to acceptance at level 350, which is a place where people cease to potentially ever see themselves as a victim. They move into this realm in life where major transformations are always taking place, and they're consciously aware that they are participating in their own evolution, and there is no such thing as victimhood. Why? Because you're just simply participating at a very high conscious level in the creative nature of life. It's where you move to a place where you live harmoniously with all of life. All of life, even those that have different philosophical beliefs, different political beliefs, and different spiritual beliefs. Then you move to a place called reason, which is 400 in his scale of 0 to 800. And that's intelligence and rationality come to the forefront when the emotionalism of other levels is transcended. It's really here where the individual is capable of handling large, complex amount of data and making rapid, correct decisions. Meaning when you fall off the wagon of high-minded thinking, you move right back. You don't move into a place of pain and suffering, but you just move right back and you vibrate really, really, really high. In 500, which is the mid-level of this process, is love. Love is characterized here, which is, even though it's still conditional, that condition is really rarely compromised, and that only depends on external factors in life. Now, he's talking about love as the divine nature within the individual. And then 540 is joy, where really most of us probably desire and seek to be, which is a life that's lived in a state of unconditional love. It's where inner joy rules the state of being. Now, he's not saying joy is an outer experience. He's saying inner joy. Joy, which is one of the qualities of God that we know already exists within us. So what he's saying here is that when we get to a place in our life where we allow the quality of God, which is joy, to guide us, it's the impetus from which we express life, then we've already transcended by 200 points from where we started. Ladies and gentlemen, that can only happen in our life if we choose to go higher each and every day. It's by choosing to evolve consciously. It's by using the lyrics of your song of saying, not someday, but like a great teacher, Fred Wilson of mine, used to say, when is this going to happen? Well, today is going to happen. And I should wake up in the morning and my mantra should be, today is the day, fill in the blank. Today is the day that I love myself. Today is the day that I give love to all of humanity. Today is the day that I know who I am. And today is the day where I'm willing to move beyond old barriers. We know here that if you correct your mind, the rest of your life will fall into place. How do you correct your mind? First and foremost, by simply knowing who you are. Who are you? Who are you? You're not a child of the divine. You are the divine. You're the divine fully expressed in all of its magnificence and all its glory. Who are you? You're a powerful presence in this universe that has the capacity to make great change on our planet. Yeah. How about beyond? Right? That takes high-minded thinking, right? That takes high-minded thinking. Here's what I want you to know as I end this wonderful time I've shared with you today, is that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. What's comfortable for you today that you're willing to move beyond? Is it some old idea that was implanted in your subconscious by your parents or your grandparents or some teacher or some boss or some failure that happened in your life at some point? Did someone's assessment or opinion of you form who you know as a conscious being? What in your life has happened that was the most glorious moment in your life? And then it's been all downhill from there. Let today be the day that you live from a place of boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka, boom boom shaka, boom boom. Say it with me. Boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka, boom boom. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I can have the most glorious life that we desire. Not by looking outside, but by living from the inside. It's great to be here with you. Have a great day. Namaste. Hey, 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 hey.
I wanna take you higher. I wanna take you higher.
Yeah.
Higher.
Yes, thank you,
I
sir.
wanna take you higher.
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 Thank you.
Wanna take you higher.
Thank you.